Oh boy, where do I even begin with this game? You guys know that I started from Dragon Ball The Breakers. Dragon Ball The Breakers was my first time ever having some sort of online presence. I've been on the internet for a very long time and everything, but I never did much. I just played games. I did my own thing, really. But Dragon Ball The Breakers brought something out within me that told me, hey, I think you could do something big with this game. If you commit hard enough, if you try hard enough, you learn everything about the game, I think you and this game could be a banger together. And lo and behold, I achieved that. I really achieved what I wanted from Dragon Ball The Breakers. There was a moment in time where obviously I didn't have much of a following. I just started out. The game Dragon Ball The Breakers wasn't really all that known. It was something new. It was something fresh. There were the only people that really knew about Dragon Ball The Breakers were generally the people that were like huge hardcore Dragon Ball Z fan. And I am one of those people. I love Dragon Ball Z. I watched it when I was a kid. I rewatched it as an adult. I rewatched it so many times. When I was a kid, when I was in middle school, when I was in high school. And not long ago, I finished Dragon Ball Daima and I loved it. I loved every single thing about Dragon Ball Z, despite its power inconsistencies. But going back to Dragon Ball The Breakers, it wasn't a well-known game, and because of that, it had this sort of uniqueness. An asymmetrical game involving Dragon Ball Z. When I first heard about this, that blew my mind. I really liked asymmetrical games. It was around the time where I was playing DBD semi-frequently, but not as much as before. And to hear that it had a very interesting genre, aka the asymmetrical genre, and Dragon Ball Z put into one, I couldn't believe it. I was so excited. I was so happy to be alive at that moment to have experienced and seen such a thing. It's wild to me. And it was because of that mindset, I was so excited to start something big, something that I wanted to put in work for, which was making content for this game specifically. I wanted to do all that I can, become a content creator for this game, gain a following for this game, start communicating with people that have the same passion like I do for this game, etc, etc, etc. I had that going on for quite some time now. Season 1, or yeah, we'll go with season 1 of Breakers. It was so much fun. Nobody knew what to do. It was a scary time in a good way, because you know, we get to fight these famous villains of Dragon Ball Z: Cell, Majin Buu, and Frieza. Those were the main 3 that were in the game in the beginning. Again, it blew my mind, and in season 1, we didn't know what to do. And so we just kind of like learned everything. We learned everything, and it was so much fun trying to learn the game and get better and understand it. You know, I was getting better and better and better at the game, meaning better content. Oh, excuse me, hiccups. I ate not long ago. Anyways, that is when I started streaming. There was a small hiatus in the beginning where I didn't stream, but after I think a couple weeks after the game launched, that's when I started streaming Jojo Kef. The account is relatively old. I've had it for a while. I thought I'd use that account to finally start streaming and make content with Dragon Ball The Breakers, because I knew that I could do something big with this game. I knew my skill, I knew what I could work towards, and I knew what I wanted to do with streaming. You know, it's funny because when I first started out, I only had one monitor. It was a laptop. I didn't have a second screen, and the way for me to look at chat was with my phone. It's one of those humble beginnings, and now that I'm thinking back on it, it was beautiful. It was a magical time for me personally, now that I'm thinking back on it. And it's giving me that humble beginnings vibe. Obviously, when I first started out, I had no one, barely a following, not even hitting 2 viewers, 3 viewers. But as I kept going and going and going, things started picking up. I was gaining a viewership, and next thing you know, I was in the double digits. Excuse me. I was slowly gaining a following, and it was because of me playing the game so often, people recognized who I was in game. And then they realized, wait, this guy I know in game, he also streams. Let's go check out his stream. And then it kind of accumulated from there, from people hearing me from Reddit, from seeing my stream title, people just surfing through the Dragon Ball The Breakers tab, the category. People were telling other people, hey, You know, this Hassan guy in game, he's actually Jojo Kef on Twitch. That's kind of wild. And things kept on just going up from there. I met a lot of good people, a lot of other streamers that were doing the same thing that I have. That's another thing I forgot to mention. There were people that rated me with Twitch's rating system. I'll never forget their names. Double D, Lucky's, and Vortail. Those are the 3 people that rated me in the beginning and got me that following. I'm very grateful that they stayed because they liked me. A decent portion of them from all those communities, they actually stayed and they liked me. You know, usually with raids, people just come and go and never really go back to that streamer. Generally, I'm very blessed to be what I was at that time, a yapping tin goober streamer that people enjoyed talking to, and they stayed. Add that with really good gameplay, because again, I took it very seriously that I wanted to improve and make all sorts of content, from doing goofy builds, serious builds, whatever builds, character build, whatever it was. I had a scheduling. I would start every morning, and soon after I made a Discord. People that really liked who I was, really liked the streams, and so I thought I thought I'd make a Discord where people can just chat and hang around and do whatever. But I'm getting sidetracked. Apologies. If it wasn't obvious, TLDR, Dragon Ball The Breakers made me, in a way, to who I am today on the internet. I'm forever grateful. As much as I rag on Dragon Ball The Breakers, I am so grateful for what it brought to me. But enough about me and my streams, finally. Let's talk about the game itself. Playing the game in 2025 of May 27th, it's horrible. Dragon Ball The Breakers is just not fun. The game has just sucked all the fun out of it, and it's so hard to just have fun in it, mainly because of their ranking system and their poor balancing. They balance these things, I think, based off of ranked, and ranked brought the worst out of some people. The game is so difficult to just have fun, casual, well, fun, because I can't really do variety builds anymore. I always have to think about what sort of actives and passive I would need for sweaty raider gameplay, which is pretty much every match. Solo queuing in the game is just so damn difficult. It's not enjoyable. The people that are constantly playing are generally new players. Once again, back in like season 1, 2, and 3, a lot of the more prominent players knew exactly what to do. Albeit this was around the time where, you know, survivors were overpowered. They just were. They had it good for so long, and that kind of leads into their balancing changes. They could have done a lot of other things to better balance the game. They could have done so many different options, many different choices, but their decision making in terms of balance changes had just been so horrendous. A good example is instant transmission. Instant transmission has dominated raiders for a couple seasons now. It was probably one of the best escape tools. It was busted. It was so annoying to deal with as a raider. There was just no punishment for it for misusing it. Not long ago, they nerfed it to make it so that if you do back out of it, it'll go on a long cooldown. That part is fine until they made it so you had to read people's key sense and it was in a certain radius, and now it takes longer to charge up. I think the first nerf was fine, but the second nerf to me was not it, Chief, for me personally. What with them adding all these extremely mobile raiders that could go across the map, the second nerf to it was unnecessary in my opinion, but the first nerf was fine. Another nerf they did was Missile. Missile was another active that dominated the breaker scene at one point alongside IT. When it got buffed, it was used everywhere. Everyone used it. It was super fast, short cooldown. But then the nerf was, I believe, they made it so that it has a much longer cooldown. I think it's like 100+ seconds when you use it, and it has a shorter range to it, as in it doesn't go as far as it used to. It'll actually run out a lot sooner, which makes no sense. They want to encourage people to create different builds, unique builds, but how does that even work when they nerf more than half of these actives, and actually just mainly actives, and then they expect a variety builds. So that's another reason why their balance changes are just so all over the place and they're just terrible. And another thing, raiders. I don't know how they don't play test their raiders, but the raiders that are, every new raider that's ever came out has always been, there's always something weirdly busted about them. For example, I think a really, really good example is Brawly. In my opinion, I think Brawly has one of the #1 highest pressure in early game any other raider can ever have. No other raider can top what Brawly is. If you don't know, Brawly at the beginning of the match is level 2, so any level 1 transfers can't go toe to toe with him, and he has an insanely fast dash that can literally go across the map even to someone's spawn point in the first 5 seconds of the match, and now they're pretty much dead because they got zoned and they can't do anything, and there's no cooldown in the beginning of the match. Whoever gets caught first, they're gonna generally go down. Even more so because of ranked, raiders have been a lot more body campy, which is not fun gameplay at all. Float around them, whoever tries to go for the save, they will be hit out of it, and now that guy's sitting on the ground for 80 seconds, 90 seconds, and it's just not fun gameplay for them and everyone else. There are scenarios, obviously, where camping is a good thing. There's really no repercussions for the raider side in camping a body early, especially, you know, if it's like a big map where it takes time to search everything. There's no repercussions in them body camping. Solo queue is probably one of the worst things I've ever seen playing this game. Solo queuing back in the day when they didn't have region lock or coast lock, it was great. I'm constantly paired up with people that know what they're doing, that are very high level, high ranked when it got introduced, and just people that I knew that were good at the game. I would just see their name and I knew they were a good player because they've been there from the very beginning. Now, I mentioned this a little bit ago, it's mainly just semi-new players and then a tiny sprinkle of, you know, very sweaty players that only played this game day and out, but they weren't here since the beginning. They probably came around like at season 4 or 5 and have been playing ever since. And they have that competitive mentality, and the only time I'm able to actually have any fun is when I'm in some sort of pre-mate. And I have to say, pre-mating in Dragon Ball: The Breakers is the only way for me to have fun personally, mainly because, you know, I have reliable teammates again, but also, you know, the people that would join my pre-mate personally are people that have also played the game for a very long time and people that I consider friends. So it makes the whole thing a lot more fun, a lot more enjoyable. I really don't know how people can have fun in this game. The only times where I think someone has some sort of enjoyment is if they're raider, where, you know, they're targeting people where they, you know, they might not know the game all that much, which again I want to emphasize is a good portion of the players still playing the game. People don't know the fundamentals of it, and I guess they're just absolutely stomping people. Another thing I forgot to mention is there is a leaderboard for some reason. I never understood why. That's just gonna make everything a lot more difficult to play, mainly because, again, apparently the game is all about being competitive now rather than just having fun, chill party game, which it was in the beginning. Now it's no longer that. But yeah, it's so sad to see the game in this state. No fun allowed. Some sort of gimmicky build that you want to try out, see if you can make something work, you're going to be heavily punished by, say, a Z rank Frieza that will camp you out, and there's nothing much you can do about it because your build isn't really built around that. And I want to emphasize again, the developers could have done a lot more better changes that could have been both fun and I guess somewhat competitive, but generally all they do is just slap on a longer cooldown on all the overused stuff. Ooh, hiccups again. And yeah, that's their way of nerfing things, I guess. A guy by the name of Akaru genuinely believes that
the game could make a potential comeback. I hope so too. I'm not against a potential comeback for Dragon Ball The Breakers. Who knows? What if they actually cook next season and I was just absolutely wrong about everything about the game? I would love to be wrong. But for now, I think Breakers is just a horrendous game right now, and I don't think many people should go out of their way to play it. Because it's simply not fun at all. But if you still find enjoyment in the game, good for you. Keep the game alive, keep going. I know it sounds a little contradictory, but I didn't want to seem like you had, like, you know, telling people you have to stop, guys. Oh my god, OMG. If you find genuine enjoyment in the game, then keep playing it. Keep the game alive, because people like you, again, well, keeps the game alive. You know, who knows? Again, what if Breakers makes one of the biggest, hardest asymmetrical comeback of all time? You may never know. Honestly, I am so proud of the Breakers community for holding strong for so long. But I think now a good portion of the Breakers community has kind of just split off and done their own thing. A lot of streamers that used to play a lot of Dragon Ball The Breakers, they're kind of doing their own thing. They're playing variety games, playing better games than Breakers, and just having fun now. Now that Breakers has added Coast Lock, Region Lock. Well, Coast Lock got removed recently, but the fact that that was even a thing before just made no sense. Oh yeah, I forgot. That's another really dumb developer thing they decided to do, is to add Region Lock and Coast Lock, which is wild to me. I'm never gonna understand why they do that, no matter how many times it's been explained to me. That was the dumbest thing they've ever done, and that was one of the main reasons why a lot of players have left. Breakers could have had a loyal fan base going still if they didn't add probably one of the dumbest in-game mechanics of all time, Region Lock and Coast Lock. I guess they're doing good by removing Coast Lock, but Region Lock is the next best thing for them to do. Once they do that, then they can lock in other balance changes. I believe that this game isn't balanced yet. They need to work on a ton of things still. Probably just keep slapping on longer cooldowns on actives, and maybe do some more nerfs with the passives on survivors, and they'll keep releasing highly mobile game-changing raiders that kind of change up the gameplay in a very not so fun way before fixing every other issue. I'm really gonna miss this game, but I think for now I'm gonna lay it to rest again. This is like the second or third time I quote-unquote laid it to rest. I can only hope that they make a comeback, and once they do, I will be coming back with them with open arms. I miss Breakers, I really do, but this isn't the Breakers that I know. As corny as they may sound, as absolute cement toss as that may sound, I'm disappointed in the game. I'm disappointed in the developers. There could be so much that they could be doing, but they're taking way too long with it, one. And two, they're not making the right decisions. That's my yapping session about how Dragon Ball The Breakers is still a bad game and it's not enjoyable anymore for someone like me, especially someone who has nearly 3K hours in the game. I gave the game a fair shot again recently. I played it for 3, 4, maybe 5 days straight, and honestly, the only time I ever enjoyed it was when I was in a big pre-made with a lot of really funny people that carried me. I will talk to you guys some of the time, all right? Be sure to check my Twitch. Be sure to check my YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and everything. I really do appreciate it. That's another thing I do want to mention. I still want to make something of myself here. I want to try new content. I want to go forth and do new things. And I hope you guys come along every step of the way. Yeah. I will talk to you guys some other time, all right? Goodbye, 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 goodbye.